So I wanted to talk about context. So in the last video, I talked about Paul was writing to the Corinthians, and he had said, "And I was with you in weakness and in fear and in much trembling." That's what I wanted to get into here, is the context. Okay, that was written from Paul, but those words in 1 Corinthians 2 really spoke to me in the last couple of weeks. And I might go into that a little bit more in another video. I'd like to. And if I don't get a chance to, I pray that when you go into Corinthians 2, it will speak to you and encourage you in a way that your heart needs to be ministered to. I was encouraged this week by a friend to allow God to minister to me in the hard places. And I've just been kind of like spinning my wheels, just trying to like do things to find like some rest and peace. Trying to figure out what I am supposed to do, my role. And I naturally like to do things, but I'm learning to rest and allow God to minister to me. So I wanted to talk a little bit about context. In the last video, I talked about the parable of the talents and the parable of the shrewd manager. So it's interesting. These parables are often used, as I mentioned, to talk about financial stewardship. And it's more than that. It's not financial stewardship or like righteousness. It's both. It's both. So this is what we like to do in our Western world, is we think it's either this or it's that. It can't be both. Yes, it can. 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 Okay? Over and over and over again in the Bible and in our lives, there are both ands. Okay? We are not just one single thing. Like, I'm not just a mom. I am a mom. And when I say just a mom, I don't mean like downgrading what that means. Being a mom is a beautiful, amazing thing. And I'm not saying just a mom. I mean, I'm not only a mom, I'm a mom and a wife and a daughter of the Most High God, and a soul and a body and a mind, right? Like, it's both and. You know what I'm saying? So we like to take these passages and we like to take them out of context, and we just think, oh, well, that's just talking about money, or that's just talking about godly living. It's both, okay? And I think God does that because some of us understand money. I think we all do. Some of us might be like, no, I don't really get it. I don't like money. I don't like thinking about money. But we all understand it because it's tangible, okay? So what really caught my attention was the beginning of Luke 15. It says, "Now the tax collectors and sinners were all gathered around him to hear him." Gathered around to hear him. The tax collectors and the sinners. Who is Jesus talking to? The tax collectors and the sinners. And later on in 16, we learn that the Pharisees are all listening. Guess what? We judge the tax collectors and the sinners because they love money, because they're worldly, right? Tax collectors, people hated them because they loved money. They stole from people, but they understood money. Okay? The Pharisees also loved money. They did. They were just as corrupt. The difference was the tax collectors and the sinners knew that they were messed up. The Pharisees hid behind their pretty robes and all their fancy garb and pretended like they were righteous. The sinners knew they were sinful. So anyway, these parables, Jesus speaks them. Like the parable of the lost coin. I always wondered, what's up with that? Why the lost coin? So the lady loses one coin, she has 10. Right? We get that. We understand that if we lose a coin, you don't just go, meh, whatever. Like, no, you search for that coin, right? This is what the people understood. So these parables were written, yes, to teach us about money, and it's important to understand the money. And it's more than that. So in 16, I read that already. Whoever can be trusted with very little can be trusted with more. And I took that and I understood, okay, if I want to be given more in this life, I need to be trustworthy with what I have right now. So yes, I need to be trustworthy with the money that I have. And as I learn to be diligent and trustworthy and steward what I have well, then I will be given more. And at the exact same time, I need to be trustworthy with my home. And when I say my home, I mean the humans that are in my home, the emotions that are in my home, the beings that are in my home. And this is not easy. This is the hardest part of parenting, is being trustworthy. Ooh, did that just hit you? It hit me. I need to be trustworthy with the souls in my home. It's a lot easier to learn how to be diligent with your finances than it is to be diligent with the souls in your home. My fear is that I failed you, and I keep having to apply grace to myself over and over again. That, like, I am your mom, and I am flawed. And your Heavenly Father is the only one that's going to fill in all the gaps that I leave, because I'm not perfect. So my number one job is to point you to Jesus, to the one who can bring you into perfection, into eternity, into the peace that passes understanding.